Hi guys. In this video, I wanted to first and foremost thank again my over 1,000 subscribers who have taken the time to subscribe to my YouTube channel and helping me reach the 4,000 watch hours required for the YouTube partnership program. I still have not been approved for the partnership program. It's only been about 2 weeks. It could take up to a month. Some people have done it for even longer. But nonetheless, I do want to thank everybody for liking, sharing, commenting, subscribing, and just basically giving me all the support that you can to get me to this point. I literally could not have done this without each and every one of you. So again, my most sincere thanks to everyone. Now, in this video, I really wanted to address some questions, especially for those who have come and joined my channel from the Shitlord Preachers podcast. Many people are interested in my story of faith and basically my preaching side, where I came from, where am I now, and, just kind of the steps in between. So I thought I would do a video kind of outlining my journey of faith, where I kind of came from and what happened and kind of where I'm at now, to help people better understand my journey. And you might appreciate my take, and my understanding and my commentary in the Shitlord Preachers podcast. So, I came to faith just after I left what would be called secondary school. So after I left Queen's Royal College, I came to faith. Then I went to a technical college back in Trinidad and Tobago, and that in the midst of that classroom, the gentleman who was teaching one of the classrooms, he basically shared a message with me about faith and about Jesus Christ and all these other things. And it radically transformed my life. I had a pretty incredible experience that, just kind of pushed me headfirst into this journey of faith. So I've been a Christian since about the age of 18. So you could say born again Christian, although I don't think that term is accurate. But nonetheless, yeah, that was the phrase that was kind of coined. I was involved in a couple of ministries. I attended some of the biggest churches in Trinidad and Tobago at the time. And I was everywhere. I was in church pretty much 3 to 4 days a week. And I was inviting everybody to church. All of my friends went. I was like picking homeless people up off the streets and going. I was going to crusades. I was going to all sorts of stuff. So definitely a very, very zealous young man doing all of these different types of things. Now, later on in life, I got involved in, business and life, kind of comes together and stuff like that. And I really did not come back into any kind of faith until after 2008, where basically in 2008, I was a property developer back in Trinidad and Tobago. I was working with a business partner, and we had a construction project that we were involved in back in that time. And after the world financial crisis collapse took place, we basically found ourselves in trouble. We were underwater. We had basically borrowed more money than the property was now worth, seeing as the value collapsed. And we hadn't completed the project either, so it wasn't to say that we could kind of sell and offset the losses. It was a pretty bad situation. I ended up basically relenting my share of the project to try and help my business partner, use my shares to try and inveigle investors and stuff like that. And eventually the project went into receivership, and it didn't work out as a result of that collapse. But as a result, there was really no work. There really wasn't any much property work. I worked kind of part-time as a real estate agent during that period. I was selling some properties and other things. And I went back to church. And for a couple of years, I was working and helping to build a ministry that was out there. So I kind of did it all. I was, involved in not heavily involved in the youth, but I was there. And it got to the point where I think I was in church like 3 or 4 times a week in this particular ministry. But at the same time, I was not, I was in a lot of pain, a lot of guilt, shame, and condemnation. It was that kind of church. I was addicted to porn for a period. I was just miserable. I was financially in a mess. I wasn't making any money. And it was a very dark time in my life, and the church really tried to do everything they could, but nothing, all of the great promises and other things, it just wasn't working. I went through a tremendous period of self-hatred and self-loathing and all this other kinds of stuff. And after a couple of years of working with them, I think going into 2011, I basically split up with, one of the girls that I was seeing at the time. And, in like a last ditch attempt, I had some really, really dark spiritual experiences where I was kind of spiraling out of control, and I started to kind of see things, and it got pretty weird. And, the church that I was involved with at the time, they put me in for, what they call like a deliverance service to try and, cast the demons out and whatever. And, nothing happened. I didn't have any kind of, crazy manifestations or anything like that. It was just kind of like, okay, this isn't working. And I basically told them, look, I'm going to take a break from this. I think I'll, kind of stop coming to the church for a bit. I'm going to figure stuff out. So I went off on my own for a bit, and I just kind of, I was literally in physical pain from all the guilt, the shame, and the condemnation that I was fighting at that time. And I basically laid down the law to God, like, either you show up and fix this, or I'm done. I really wanted to end it. I really wanted, I didn't want to go on. And to cut a long story short, God really showed up at one point, and he spoke into my life something that didn't make any sense to me at the time. And what he spoke into my life totally transformed my view. It totally changed my understanding of scripture. It totally transformed pretty much everything that I believed. And it was a radical shift to the point where the church that I was involved with actually became quite antagonistic towards me based on my new discoveries. And it took a couple of years after that to kind of flush out these beliefs and really kind of move more into what would be considered the Eastern Orthodox or Trinitarian theology. It took a while for that, and I was involved I met a lot of great people. I was involved in a lot of counseling groups, and I used to take teams of guys out onto the streets to minister. One of the great churches out there, they actually set up some booths in the Trinidad and Tobago Carnival Festival. I was there with them a couple of years. The blessing booth or something like that, and I think I still have pictures of that. And yeah, I was involved in all types of outreach and stuff like that, even with my new understanding on this stuff. As a result of that, also in I think it was early 2012, an American minister, gentleman, he came down, and I met him in Trinidad, and he and I got along fantastically well, like two peas in a pod, as we say. He was like my long lost brother. We were just, great. He was a great guy. Still love him to this day. And his advice to me was, I got to get off the island. And he basically invited me to come and stay with him, with his family, and travel and minister with him for a number of years. So I left Trinidad and Tobago and I went off to the U.S. and I was living in the U.S. for a couple of months, traveling around. We got out to various places in Washington, D.C. and Kansas and California and Texas and all these places, Minnesota and stuff like that. And it was really, really great. I really enjoyed that time. We traveled as far out as like Asia, Thailand, Singapore, and elsewhere. Met amazing people, heard fantastic stories. I got to share a lot of, not the full message, but a lot of the messages that I had come to understand. And we influenced a lot of people. I met like-minded brothers and sisters of the faith who were on a very similar journey to me. I got to meet all my heroes, all the people that I looked up to. It was a really good time, and I did that for a number of years. My last trip out was probably in 2015. Yeah, it was 2015. I did a trip out to Canada. Again, one of the brothers that I met on that trip, he was doing an event in Canada, and I that was probably the last kind of ministry outreach preaching event that I did. And immediately after that, I just had a peace about it. I just had a sense that I didn't need to do this anymore, that I'd kind of done everything I need to do. I'd influenced the people I needed to influence. I'd met the people I needed to meet. I'd written everything I needed to write. I'd done the videos on what I needed to do. And I just felt like a peace, like, I don't need to do this anymore. And that's kind of when I made the decision that, okay, I'm going to make them, move out to the UK. I'm going to start a whole new life. I'm going to, get back into finance and get back into my passions and really discover, a lot about this life and who I am and the things that I like to do and even the things I don't like to do. And yeah, that was kind of the turning point for me in a lot of ways. That's kind of where it ended off. My faith, as I say, I still have faith today. I still believe in certain tenets of the Christian tradition. Not, as I say, I'm not dogmatic. I have a very different understanding in terms of, the different interpretation methods of scripture and stuff like that. And that tends to get me in a lot of trouble. Early in this journey, one of the biggest churches in Trinidad and Tobago, a couple thousand people. The pastor stood up in the middle of the congregation and basically told people to get me off Facebook, don't follow me, all kinds of things. I used to be on a radio show back in Trinidad and Tobago as well, talking about faith and these types of things. And people were like so upset with the fact that I was on the radio. They were calling the radio station to try and get me off the air. And so, that's kind of just a glimpse of the story of faith. As for where I am now, I don't really do public ministry. I still attend churches if I'm invited. My girlfriend, for instance, she does enjoy, going to a church service. It tends to be a Church of England service. I live not too far from a Church of England church, and I enjoy it. I like going there and talking with the people and, hearing their stories and stuff like that. And because of the inclusive nature of the Eastern Orthodox faith, it's very easy for me to, just kind of relate to other faiths. I'm not really trying to prove anything or try to, convert anyone or teach anything and stuff like that. I do ministry kind of privately. Like, I have Christian friends. If they come over and they hang out, they might share with me their story, and I might share with them, just some of my experiences, and that tends to be the only kind of ministry I do. It does come out from time to time. I was at lunch just the Sunday gone, and we were talking about the abuses in the church and stuff like that, and I think people were talking about the Way of the Master. For those who don't know, but it's Ray Comfort's ministry style, and I basically pointed out all the flaws in that ministry style, and in the midst of it I kind of started preaching like how I would present this message, and stuff like that, and like people got really teary-eyed, and it was good. So I've still got that passion in me, but I'm not active with it. I'm not kind of wearing it on my sleeve. As I say, the work that I've done has gone around the world. As I say, there are churches that have literally started. There are Bible schools that have literally started. I'm not saying I'm the only source of influence for that, but I'm saying that I am definitely a voice in that. And my work has been translated into various different languages, so I'm good. I don't really need to do anything else. But yeah, that's kind of where it came from. And now I'm living in the UK. I'm trading the financial markets. I've got some property investments. I'm dealing with my money, getting my money sorted out. I'm, working on myself. I'm back in the gym. I'm, trying to be the best man that I could be. I've been enjoying the podcasting with my friend Amos Joe, the Shitlord Preachers podcast. I've been doing some live streams as well, which, thanks again for all the feedback on that. And I'm pretty excited about the future and where things are going. So I do hope that kind of answers everybody's questions on my journey of faith. All of this stuff is out there. If you Google my name, you will find a whole bunch of Christian related stuff. You're more than free to check that out. I'm not really interested in fighting, debating, arguing, or anything like that. A lot of it is very different to what the Western evangelical church is accustomed to. So if that's your tradition, we're probably not going to agree on very much, but it's all good. So guys, as always, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe if you'd like to see more. I'm sure many of you will have questions. You could leave those questions in the comments below. I would love to get back to you and have that discussion. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Take care.